Hey guys, Zane from the Infinite Jukebox here with another album review, and today I wanted to talk about the new Quadeca record, I Didn't Mean to Haunt You. I Didn't Mean to Haunt You is the latest studio album from rapper Quadeca, a musician that first got his start on YouTube and slowly over time built himself up a cult following that has really resulted in him being a pretty massively hyped up artist. I mean, sure, he's not topping the Billboard charts or anything, but he's got a fan base that is insanely loyal and hard to come by for a musician of any genre. I will say he has had his misses in the past. In fact, he's probably had more misses than he has had hits in terms of both full-length albums and singles. That being said, over time throughout his entire career, both in terms of his YouTube content as well as the music he has actually put out, Quadeca has shown a great amount of potential. He is obviously a fantastic producer, and when he wants to be, he's an incredibly engaging performer, and even his lyrical content shines through here or there throughout his otherwise uninteresting and pretty poor discography. But he's just never lived up to any of that potential by really combining everything together to result in a great album. In fact, he's never ever put out a great record. I Didn't Mean to Haunt You is Quadeca kind of continuing to take on that slightly alternative hip-hop sound that he has been using for quite some time now, while also ascending into the realm of art pop and folktronica and glitch pop and a bunch of other alternative forms of pop and electronic music. But more importantly than that, he's trying to prove a lot of his critics wrong here, and he does so successfully by making not only his best album to date by far, but also one of the most surprisingly great records of the year. Now, as you may have guessed from the somewhat dramatic title bestowed upon this record, I Didn't Mean to Haunt You is a concept album. It is a story about a man that has taken his own life, and it's just from his perspective a multitude of things that happen in the aftermath of his passing. And now, of course, this is a pretty heavy topic overall. I mean, anything relating to death in general is something that needs to be handled with a certain level of grace, but thankfully that's exactly what Quadeca does here, and in a way, throughout the record, it quickly becomes a bit painfully obvious that he knows a lot about what's being discussed on I Didn't Mean to Haunt You. I Didn't Mean to Haunt You is a very fluid listening experience overall, as tracks seamlessly blend and bleed into one another, and it almost makes me want to say that this is the kind of album that you've never truly experienced until you listen to it from front to back in one sitting, no pauses, nothing like that. It's that kind of album, and it needs to be heard in that way before anything else. I Didn't Mean to Haunt You is definitely the kind of album that could have flopped if it weren't taken seriously enough, or if it weren't really taken in a super creative direction that made it stand out. But thankfully, Quadeca, again, manages to do both of those things, and I think it's obvious at this point that he wants to be taken more seriously artistically. He is, at a lot of times, a butt of a joke, but really, I think that he's ready to just be kind of stepping into the limelight a little bit more and kind of being seen as more of a serious artist, and if he wanted to prove that, he definitely has throughout his latest album. I also have to say that I Didn't Mean to Haunt You feels like Quadeca's lyrical style coming into its own here. I mean, he's never really been the best in terms of lyrical content, and I won't say that I Didn't Mean to Haunt You is the most amazing thing you'll hear all year in terms of storytelling or anything like that. The album has its misses lyrically, but when it hits, it does so extraordinarily well. The songwriting here just feels so much more honest and fittingly restrained than anything on his previous works, and if anything, the songwriting that Quadeca brings to the table on this record is just more proof as to how much he's actually grown as an artist in a relatively short period of time. It's genuinely impressive. The production here is absolutely fantastic, which is something that I honestly kind of expected, as Quadeca is actually one of the more underrated self-produced artists out there. I mean, obviously he's not underrated as a whole, but people don't really give him enough credit for what he's capable of as a producer, and I really do hope to see him collaborate with more people as a producer in the future. The polished rawness that his production style brings to I Didn't Mean to Haunt You really does ultimately draw out the best of his highly emotive performances, and I think that's really beneficial towards both the grand and dramatic pieces like Tell Me a Joke, as well as the more abrasive cuts like the Danny Brown collaboration House Settling. Both of those tracks especially are major highlights on the record. Lastly, I'd just like to say how legitimately shocked I am by how great this record is. I mean, of course, there were singles that were released before this album came out in full, and those singles were great, and everyone said that, oh, hey, this is going to be a really good album. But Quadeca has done great singles in the past, that is for sure. He's done some horrible singles too, but he's done some great singles. That's something that I cannot deny, but he's never done a great album, so I wasn't expecting this album to be as great as it ultimately is, and I listened to this multiple times knowing that maybe this will grow off me, or maybe the first time that I listened to this, I thought it was better than I actually felt like it was, because of the fact that, oh wow, this is Quadeca, and it's actually really good, so maybe I'm rating this a bit too highly. But honestly, at this point, I don't think that I am. I think that this record is genuinely insanely impressive, one of the most surprising and creatively inspired records of the year. It's emotionally powerful, but still controlled and restrained and composed extraordinarily well. It's just an amazing record, and I really do hope that Quadeca gets massive amounts of props for this album, because he deserves it. So overall, I Didn't Mean to Haunt You is just a really stunning and moving ethereal experience that I highly recommend even if you have been a Quadeca hater in the past, like I have, honestly. This record is just incredibly impressive, and I Didn't Mean to Haunt You is easily one of the highlights of music in general for the year thus far. I'm going to give this record 4.5 stars out of 5. And with that being said, that's the end of this album review. I've been Zane from the Infinite Jukebox. Thank you for watching, and I will see you guys in the next one.